Okay, I watched the first two.
Hello and welcome to the Gooners Podcast. Jared, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm just eating as I was during the entire podathon.
As always.
We started early today to prove a point that Mike is always the one who's late, and he'll always blame it on someone else. Dude, it's been a while since we've potted together.
It really has. I was kind of out of the loop for like 2 full months due to work, so it's been a while since I'd potted with anybody, but it's a perfect time of year to be getting back into it since we got kickoff tomorrow.
I know. I can't believe it. Like, obviously the All or Nothing drop last night, so Chris and I stayed up a little later than expected and watched that, and God, look at that. It's like it's coming out of the womb.
Fresh out of hibernation with his mute button still on.
He probably left to put on a diaper, and that's why he was late for the show.
I knew you guys were going to start. So, I know you so well, disembodied head.
The reason why we started early was so we didn't have to listen to that intro video.
You went intro free?
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Fans intro.
That gets us to the 2-minute mark without having to do anything. It's like getting paid for doing nothing.
Once we're halfway through and we have like an awkward moment of silence, we'll just start the intro, and then that'll let us recoup. Oh shit. Mike, how have you recovered?
Here we go. I'm getting ready to press the button right there.
How have you recovered from your 27 hours and 5 minutes podathon?
Quite nicely, actually. I had an enjoyable couple hours with my son afterwards, had a nice dinner, and got a lot of sleep that night, got some work done. I'm still catching up, but like there's going to be clips. We're going to put all the different of the 27 hours, we probably have about something like 24 or 25 different segments that we're going to clip. We're going to put out the audio, and I still got to get in touch with all the prize winners. I mean, the work never stops when the show's over. There's so much more to do afterwards to make sure everybody gets their prizes and all that. But I can't thank the two of you guys enough, and everybody else who participated in it. We won't rehash all the the dick sucking and the back patting and stuff that we did on the podcast. But it was a great experience. We
need to get a clip of you and that thunder strike, like your reaction to it.
Oh God, yeah,
amazing.
And the strange thing was that thunder strike, that was the end of the storm. Like it was storming, and then it was like boom, and then that was it.
Done.
Like, yeah, that it was done after that. It was the weirdest thing.
But in reflection of the 27 hours, what was your favorite moment?
It had to be this. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, it's the background.
Oh, the Lee Dixon high five.
Yeah. And that was within the first hour or so.
He's the one who asked to do it.
I know it's hilarious. He's like, I don't even remember what led up to that, but he's like, yeah, could we all possibly? I mean, that's the weirdest thing. You've made it when the best right back of football in the history of football, and that might be controversial take, but not in my world. Ask you to hold hands with another dude. I mean, look, I will put away my my sexual proclivities for that request anytime.
Now, Jared, I know that you were on the pod, off the pod, listening to the pod. Did you have any favorite moments? Any thing that you?
I know his least favorite moment.
Yeah, we don't have to discuss that.
Yeah.
I know his least favorite moment, and I was listening when I saw him just drop off.
Oh God.
Favorite moments. It's always kind of. I like meeting some new people. Like it was the first time I sat and talked with Elliot for any amount of time. So it's nice to just meet different people in the podcasting world, which is one of the nice things about it. We get exposed to some different people and different stuff. But I always kind of like the last hour where it's less about Arsenal and just kind of catching up with some friends we haven't talked to in a while and just kind of winding it down, but having some fun at the same time. So I always enjoy that. It's probably the least likable for people watching it, but most enjoyable on our side.
Yeah. I think for me.
Yeah. And there were, there were a couple of kind of behind the scenes guest issues. We had, one of them was FK was supposed to join us for like the 25th hour. And late in the day, he got an invite to the Amazon, like that big party that was happening on Tuesday night. And, if I have to choose between accepting an invite to that and missing it because I'm hour 25 of 27 of a podathon, I'm doing what he did. So, so I knew about that in advance, and just rather than try to grab new guests and stick it in there, I just decided, look, let's make the last 3 hours just kind of a free for all. And Soph was amazing in helping me out when I messed up and needed a lift. And then just kind of open micing it. And the 4 or 5 folks that came on from the open mic are, people who I've gotten to know really well. And it was just great to be able to hang out with them for it. So,
sorry, I missed that last hour. I was actually really looking forward to just the 5 of us being on.
Now, Amazon documentary, good reason to miss out. Backstreet Boys.
No, I didn't miss the last hour.
I know. It was a doctor's appointment.
Oh God, that show was so good though. No, I didn't miss it for that, but I was really bummed because obviously I was driving to the doctor, and so I was listening to it, and Oliver was like, "Dad, this is boring. Put on music." But no, one of the big highlights for me, and again, Mike, I've never hidden this fact. Like Jared and I were just talking about it off air before we actually came on. The amount of football content in the world, like Jared said, you could go a whole day and not even cover all of the podcasts and content. And so we were talking kind of about our favorite ones. And like for me, I'm the pod with hers and his team, the NAACP podcast. That was like, I've never really listened to a full like hour with those guys. And I was a little disappointed.
That's such an easy joke, and it's the first time it's been made, like in 3 years. That's hilarious.
Well, I made the joke in our text group.
Oh, I don't know if I've ever noticed that before.
Yeah, I asked if they just talked about criminal injustices, and and like but no, like I really enjoyed that hour and that segment. That was a lot of fun, and like so, yeah, it kind of again, I apologize to Mike and Sebi and his team, people I consider friends and know personally, and like. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right, let's jump into All or Nothing because, obviously the 3 of us have all watched it. I wrapped up the 3rd episode. So my first takes on it, I thought it was great. What I was expected. I know Mike gave me shit for watching the other All or Nothings and really enjoying it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did when I watched the Man City one.
The Man City one, sure, but because you're like, this is great, and I'm like,
it was great. Content
was great. The one was like beautiful Schadenfreude, though.
The Tottenham one was great because they really focused on the FA Cup, and we won it that season, so that made it even better. But like, I think the reason I didn't really want to like the Tottenham one or watch it because it humanizes the characters in there, so you kind of start liking the Dele Allis of the world, and you're like, why do I like these people? But my biggest takeaway from the first 3 episodes was where the fuck was Aubameyang? Like they covered essentially 12 matches in that first 3 episodes, and you didn't hear one pregame speech. And now I don't know if that was by design of the editing crew to cut him out since we know what's going to happen. But like,
was he the one on the microphone in Leicester after the game saying something about we want Tuesday off or something?
I don't. It was Maitland-Niles. I wasn't sure when I watched it. I was trying to tell. I'm not sure which it was.
Standing there, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't Maitland-Niles on the microphone. I thought Aubameyang was sitting down next to Maitland-Niles, and he was the one on the microphone. Not that asking for Tuesday off is necessarily a sign of top leadership, but like, I mean, they showed him a lot, but yeah, they certainly didn't.
Where was his speeches? Like,
we didn't hear him speak a word for 3 full episodes, really.
You see him getting his haircut, and it was like, but like I assumed the captain says at least something. I know there's captains that lead by example, but like it's essentially you thought that because if you watch the Spurs one, Kane speaks a lot in those pregame huddles, and
no one knows what he said, but
no one knows what he says, and he just yells "fuck" a lot. But I was expecting like a McFarlane type of speech before
That's
the
not
match.
who he is. But we know that's not who he is. And look, they could have cut out every inspirational thing. All 4 hours of inspiration from Aubameyang that was done there, for all we know. But for all we really know, that's not who he is.
Yeah, and I think, like Andy said, you can lead by example or you can lead sort of verbally, and then there's some people who don't do either, which I think was probably the case the latter part of his time with the armband.
Yeah.
But he was one, I never thought he should have been captain to begin with. It's one where we didn't have there was no Tony Adams, there was no mature voice in the team, so you just kind of arbitrarily give it to the best player.
You couldn't go with Xhaka, so you had to go with...
Sometimes it works out, sometimes, probably more often than not, it's not the best way to go, but there really wasn't, at the time he got the armband, a ton of good options. The only option was that had the sort of leadership of the team was Xhaka, and after what had just happened with him, he obviously wasn't going to get it, so it was just kind of by default. He got almost stuck with it. I thought it was interesting too. One time they asked him if he was loud and vocal at his displeasure when the team played bad, and he said, "I'm not. I usually get pretty quiet," which is fine. Everybody's personality is different. I would probably lean that way too, but for that reason, you might not be the ideal choice to captain a Premier League football club. And what happened. We moved on, and now we've got a captain that I think everybody's pretty happy with.
Yeah. The question for you guys. So a good friend of ours, Tom Rosenhammer, wrote in our little group text that he thought Kroenke came off as a kind of a spoilt little brat with,
I didn't agree with
that. And so, yeah, what are your opinions on that? Because Mike, obviously we've heard the same thing from him. I didn't get that vibe. I got the vibe that, okay, so let me just say this. The scene where he's sitting at the table with Arteta, and he basically says something like, "There's a lot of noise," and
it's right after the 3 games, 0 goals.
And essentially says to Arteta, "I got your back. Like, we know that this is the long play," and then you heard him just kind of, because they put the subtitles on when he texts Saka, and I thought, oh shit, this guy is probably a little bit more involved than we give him credit for.
Well, and again, this is when you get 8 hours out of what's 24 times like 9 months, like when you get 8 hours of television over the course of an entire season, you can't know what is kind of a sign of what's happening, what's proportional to what's happening and what's completely there to push an agenda. So if you want to hate on Josh Kroenke, you will say that essentially every moment that Josh Kroenke communicated with one of the players or was in Colney or the Emirates is going to be shown on this documentary, and it's going to look like he was there all the time. Now, I think the reality is probably somewhere in the middle. I do think that there's definitely a desire to show his involvement with the team. It probably overweights the actual amount that he was involved in the team, but I don't think that what most people think of their involvement, I think that's underweighing it. And it's nice to know to know that he's getting in touch with players directly, that he was in touch with Saka after the Euros. That's what a good owner would do. That's what a normal owner would do, but that's not what the envision that we have of the Kroenkes would do. They'd be like, who's Bukayo Saka, they would think. You got to take it with a little bit of salt, but you also got to appreciate that they're probably not, other than this documentary, they're not propping themselves up constantly, say, you know what, we know people think we're this, but we're actually that, and let me show you why. This is what we do. This is what they're not going to do that. But I think what Aston kind of ingested from spending an hour or two with them, what we ingested a few years ago from spending 25 minutes with him, there's enough there to think that some of the abuse and characterization they get about their desire and their interest in the team is unwarranted.
Jared, what were your thoughts on this? And sorry, I was laughing because hers wrote hello, hello, and then I put him in a 5-minute timeout. Immediately.
He's already in the WhatsApp calling you a bitch.
You pulled a BX gunner on him when we took the best chat member of the entire podathon, and I accidentally blocked him to the point where I had to Google how to unblock somebody, go into the YouTube account, unblock him with all the other like tossers that I meant to block. And and by the way, just I can't thank you again to BX Gunner, who I believe is either in Charlotte or New York. I have some conflicting information, and the name that was given on the donation is a female's name, but sometimes people use each other's credit cards. Either way, BX Gunner was the
well,
MVP.
he's in the chat, so maybe he could clear it up.
Yeah.
Jared, what were your thoughts on the relation? Not like Kroenke, but then also we got to see a little bit of the Edu Arteta kind of relationship. But before that, Mike, I just want to go back to your point. Sorry. Fucking see, this is why hers throws us off our cadence, and why he should always be blocked. Chris asked me this, so we were watching it last night, and Chris went, "Well, so how much time does the guy spend in London?" And then I was like, "Well, I'm not sure." And she goes, "Well, shouldn't you know, since you go to every Avs game and essentially like you look like?" And I was like, "Yeah, but he's not always at those games either." So I don't know, but Jared, my question to you is, does he have to be at every game? I mean, there's 20 other teams that have ownership groups and they're not all at every game. So does he need to be at every game?
No, this is something that people only care about when the team's not doing well and they're just searching for something to complain about. I mean, when Man City scored 100 points and won the league running away, do you think any of their fans were ever like, man, I can't believe the owner wasn't at today's game, I'm so mad about it? No, nobody cared because the team's winning. Winning kind of solves it all. And as soon as things go bad, especially in the Arsenal group, you saw it in episode 1, people just say the most ridiculous things and go out there and embarrass themselves with their dumbass comments. And then 2 shows later, people are like, oh, I think the players really respect Arteta, and go down that line when it's, a month down the line, we haven't lost in 10 games. It's just a lot of fair weather.
No question about that, by the way. I mean, the one thing that I don't think you would be able to put on for the camera, and you wouldn't feel that it's necessary to put on for the camera, is undying respect for your coach. And these players all have it for him. Maybe not Aubameyang, but I mean, these players all have it for him.
Well, and obviously you can edit the shit out of this, but if you can edit together a piece of 5 different people, it's still 5 different people saying Arteta is a tactical genius. Like, it's 5 separate people in different.
Unless they're editing out the word "not."
Yeah.
They're doing a really good job of it.
Wait, did his mouth just move more?
Arteta is a tactical genius.
But often you hear that from all the players over the entire season too. It's not just edited for one documentary. Over the course of the season, you hear constantly from players, whether it be Saka or Tierney or Ramsdale or Xhaka. Everybody speaks highly of him, but I'm supposed to think less because some random guy outside the stadium who said 15 beers says Arteta out. Like, hard pass.
And the assistant coaches, kind of whispering to each other about, like, he's top as tactical. We knew that, but he's starting to really connect with the players. He's relaxed. He's and that's next level when you get to that situation. So, I mean, it's interesting because you're seeing people who maybe aren't in the level of responsibility that he has, but have probably been in the game a lot, in the management game a lot longer and been around other managers, and they're pretty well poised to make an evaluation of how he's adapting to his role.
And I think what helped him too, when he had that sit down with Josh that Mike was talking about a little bit ago, sort of at the end of that, I don't remember the exact quote, but Josh basically just said, you need to care about the opinions of people inside this room, not the opinions outside of it, which you sort of, carry that out to what he's probably talking about. I'm sure they had talks with him about that he's their guy. They believe in what he's trying to do, and they're going to back him regardless of what, the media or the fans or whatever saying. So having that sort of affirmation from the inside and the top probably does a lot for him in terms of, his confidence in himself going forward too.
Yeah. I agree with what Hers said to us last night. Put those fucking screen names of those Twitter assholes on the screen. If you're
100%,
you have to be an adult to be on Twitter. If you're going to make those comments, you have to stand by the people who want to.
Oh, did they black them out? They
blurred the name and just showed the tweet.
Shame, man.
Yeah. Like, no, it's I'm sorry, but if you
one of them's gonna be like Tom Canton TV or something. Can you imagine?
Tom sees it, it's like, oh God, thanks. Was it weird for you, Mike, that like one of the first people I saw on the screen when I looked up was Simon Collins' little
I rewound it. I took a picture of it and I sent it to him at what would have been like 12:30 in the morning his time, because I'm like, and you thought this episode sucked? You're in it.
Right? No, and I was like, okay, when is this going to start sucking?
Yeah, he said the first two kind of were lame, and then the third one it really picked up. The second one was the Derby one. Like what was the
I
second
feel
one?
like Collins is the type of guy who goes to see like, you know, an action-packed like Marvel movie and walks out going, that could never happen. It's like, well, no shit.
By the way, I am so I have this thing where like I was told in October, about a month after it happened, that Stu McFarland gave that speech. And Andy, you have evidence that I was told this because I told a very select couple of people that I had been told that and who told me that, which I'm not going to mention. But like, I never really thought that would ever come out because I wasn't thinking in terms of the documentary. But I kind of wish that I had mentioned that to the gerbil at one point, because it's one of those things that no one would have known, and then it would have been like, wow, they really do have some inside connections. But like, I heard some things about that talk that they didn't show on there, and so therefore I can't say whether they're true or not. But I heard that he got up and in Xhaka's face and like and might have even have like slapped him in the face, kind of like from a motivational standpoint, if you can slap somebody motivationally. And that it was much more intense than it even looked on camera. But, you know, it all made sense when you remember and seeing it, you'll remember back to their hugs and stuff after the game. I didn't remember watching it real time.
I remember Arteta doing the pointing part, and I thought that's strange, right? Because but you know, the other weird thing for me watching this, and I hate doing this, but this podcast has given us access to some amazing people. And there were so many moments in there where I was like, oh, I know that person. I've met that person. I'm in a text group with that person, right? And it's just like, it's very bizarre because we were watching that scene and I paused it and I was just saying to Chris, like, Mike and I had him on the podcast a couple of years ago, and like, this is who he is, right? Like, he is an out and out supporter and fan of this club.
Oh yeah.
And it's been wonderful. And then there's some people I've seen there.
I was hanging out drinking with him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's every bit of who that guy is. He's awesome. He's he is probably employee number one right at this point. I mean, Gunner, the original guy who wore Gunnersaurus is gone. Vic Akers is gone. He doesn't bridge together the club and the fan base because he basically doesn't care for much of the fan base, especially the people who are critical and the naysayers and the Twitter stuff. I mean, he cares for the fan base. Don't get me wrong. Don't misquote me on that. But he's not trying to outreach. He's an employee of the club who fancies himself a protector of the club, a lover of the people in it. And, but I mean, he would credit to Arteta for recognizing that he is uniquely placed to explain to this group of 21, 22, 23-year-olds and, fresh from another team, 25 and 26-year-olds, what the derby means. Because Lee Dixon always said, there was this kind of passing through that, I was put up against the wall before my first North London derby by, Boldy and Adams telling me how important this game was. And there's no one really to do that right now. Xhaka, could, but Holding could, but there's no one really to do that. And Stu McFarland was the perfect person to put that message out. And now they all get it. And how great was it that like Saka and Smith Rowe talking about how like it would be a dream come true to score in the derby, and they both get one in that match.
Yeah. Saka assists Smith Rowe, and then Saka gets the second. That was probably one of my favorite moments of the first few episodes, and it brought back good memories too. On a personal note, my good buddy.
Don't block him for this, Andy.
My good buddy that lives down the street from me, he's a huge Spurs fan, so we get together for every North London derby. So I sat in his living room and watched us just absolutely dominate them, and it was one of the happiest Arsenal days I've had in the last handful of years.
We were doing our Day of Giving fundraiser, like where we do it at the local pub, and we try to get other pubs around the country to do it as well. And we do share our pub with the Spurs supporters group. That's one of the unfortunate things about our pub. And they come in numbers and we come in numbers. And that day we all kind of mostly got along because there was a charitable undertone. They donated a little bit, but when the game started getting 3-0, like some of the fellow Gooners didn't have the desire to put the rivalry at bay for a charitable purpose, and there was a lot of yelling back and forth, and I was like, just not today, guys, please. We're killing them, and we're all raising money.
Yeah.
But no, it was a really good day for that.
I'm going to jump into the chat real fast and just say hi to Ray, Mark, BX, Daniel, Arnie, Henrik, Tawana, Dublin. We got Hersey in there.
And Sam Tressiter with the super chat. Thank you. He said, it says we're insane, and we are insane because there's no way we're going invincible. We're clearly going to win every single game, which would require a different name. What would that? Any suggestions on what that name would be? The Perfectables.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
The first try. We got Arnie.
Perfectables sounds like a boxed lunch thing with
I would think
Lunchables. What? Okay.
He got mad at us agreeing on something.
We went from 3 to 4 people, but we actually went from 3 down to 2. What just happened there?
I don't know. It just I was going through I was looking through the names of people, and then it just booted me out.
What's up, Seb?
We got Sebi in the chat. All right. Anything else from the first 3 episodes you get? Oh, the other thing I wanted to quickly note. I'm not throwing Tom under the bus for this, but he kind of made a comment that Thierry Henry's comments were very holier than thou, and I didn't think that way. I looked at it as though, because Thierry said it a couple times, the mentality is winning. It doesn't matter about the culture of Arsenal is winning. That's what we're used to, and that's what we need to get back to. And when he made the little comment about Saka with the penalty, I didn't look at that in a negative light. I just thought yeah, you have to make a penalty. That's why you're stepping up. The credit to the player for doing it. But if you miss, that's not good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that. That's what it is.
But he also made a comment. Yeah, I mean, you know that better than anyone when you missed three out of 5 penalties against me in Denver a few years ago. Or was it 3 out of 6?
What people don't know is that Mike had the little baby goals he stood in front of, and I had to shoot in front of the big ones. He just edited it out. If you go back.
Yeah, because I had great editing skills.
Quality editing on those videos.
Yeah. But he also mentioned, Henri, the fact that, people want to compare this to previous players and how that isn't necessarily fair, and, which is which is the opposite of saying these guys have my shoes and Bergkamp shoes to step up to. I mean, which would be a bit dickish of a thing to say. So I didn't have any problem with that. I mean, we all know Henri's a little bit holier than thou, and that he's.
Yeah.
I mean, all guys in the mold of Henri and Kobe and Michael Jordan and you could name a few others where their success was because of their pathological drive. There are going to be some personality traits that aren't necessarily warm and fuzzy.
Right. But also, you can't kiss Saka's ass, and he knows he should have made the penalty. The other players know they should have made the penalty. It is what it is, right? I mean, you're not going to like the comment, but the comment needs to be made. Ian Wright kind of said the same thing, maybe not as blunt, but, he's talking about the penalty, not the stuff that happened after it, right? I mean, Saka should never have stepped up to take that at all, but he did, and you learn from it, right? And now look at this. We're in, I mean, come on, guys. Mike and I are agreeing on all sorts of shit.
Why don't you guys just move in together finally?
Because I'll get pregnant.
And both of you can get your citizenship.
Can I tell you guys a quick story, right? So I tried 6 months ago. I went on to the gov.uk website to start Oliver's passport process, and it was an absolute cluster. There were 3 different applications. We didn't know which one we should choose. So a couple days ago, I was like, well, I'm just going to reach out to some lawyers and get questions answered, right? So you reached out to
Miami John.
No, well, he
that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Super chat in the private chat.
So I get 4 responses from firms over in the UK, and they're all the price starts at £2,000. That's starting price. And I'm like, for a passport?
No.
So this morning I went to the gov.uk website, and it says new beta version live. Follow these instructions. So you literally just start filling out each step name. I put in my, I got it right here for all those who don't think I'm actually English.
Don't want to be English no more.
So I'm putting in all the information, and literally I was like, hey Chris, can you come down and just double check all these dates, and then I click continue, and it says your passport will be in the mail in 13 weeks, and I'm like, that's it.
Beta version of the website's way better than the $2,000 version.
And say that's just, you could have just done that, and we wouldn't have had to go through.
I think it was like 87 pounds for the passport. I was just like, Jesus Christ. All right. Ask questions if you got them. Mark's asking how the Beatles shirt was received at the gig. To be honest with you, no one said anything. I will say this though.
It's a 3-letter word that starts with
know
G
who the
that I would
Beatles are.
describe that as, but it wasn't gig. I'm sorry, Jared. I keep talking over you, but I didn't.
No, you're good. I was going to say that he didn't get asked about it because none of the 13-year-old girls there know who the Beatles are.
You know what's interesting, Jared, is there were very minimal teenage girls. There were a lot of women my age.
Yeah, that's probably correct.
And you know what I also thought was very strange. So we went with a group of friends, and my friend Megan had a picture where she had like all these cans of alcohol around her. And I took a picture to her husband who was like at the hospital working, and I just said, she's out of fucking control, right? And
is this the one whose wedding you're officiating?
Yeah. So she's like, can you send me that photo? So I was like, yeah, I'll airdrop it to you. So I go to my airdrop, and all of a sudden, like 15 phones.
Oh my God.
I sent it to every airdrop, and dude, everyone accepted it. And I was like, what world are we living in?
Did I ever tell you the story that like apparently that's a thing that like teenagers do as a joke and stuff?
Oh, we lost him.
Well, he's gone.
Yep, he's gone.
No, that's all right. I've seen, I don't know if it's what he was going to say. I've seen videos online where kids will say, first person to yell out fuck in the middle of this cafeteria gets $50, and they airdrop it to everybody. And then somebody just stands up and starts screaming. That's like the new prank type of thing going on.
Mike, you broke up when you said,
yeah. Am I back?
Yeah.
My internet's being a bit wonky today. I'm glad this didn't happen during the podathon, but the my son and I went to a Capitals game, the hockey game, like 4 or 5 years ago, and like when he was all in his awkward phase with braces and goofy face and stuff, and I was hot, and he took some weird picture of himself, and then opened up his airdrop, and there were like 6 different people around. So he's like, pick one, Dad. And so I picked one, and we're just laughing our ass off. Then there's this group of girls in front of us, in the very row in front of us, and one of them's all drunk, and she's like screaming and talking, and then she we just see his face like on her phone, like she has no idea, and she's like waving her arms around in her phone, and my son's face is on there with the fucking funniest thing ever. But
dude, it's that happened to us. Like the group of girls in front of us, they were all like, should I accept this? And we're all yelling, yeah, accept it. And she's like, we accept it. And then she turns around, and we had a good laugh. But Jared, one of the funny things that I think, like, I don't really go on TikTok, but some of the really funny videos on there, and it's women who respond to something by like moaning sexually, but the best ones are when they're at like the dinner table with their families, right? And it is just so awkward, right? And it's like always like a 5-second video, and the dads are always like, what the fuck? It's perfect.
I wish I could remember the name. It's stereotypical, but I'm sure Owen would know. There's an Irish girl who that's her whole thing, is she just tells these disgusting raunchy jokes, but to her parents. Nice. It's absolutely hilarious. I wish I remembered her name. I'd put it in the chat. It's either absolutely hilarious.
Owenina
or his sister.
Siobhan with
yeah.
with like
no, she's too good looking. There's no way she's a blood relative to Owen.
All right, let's move on to the Palace match.
We're wearing pink for that one, right? Or are we wearing the black? I
don't know, but for anyone who's wondering, I did it yesterday. If you order a kit through the store, I think this week, you get free lettering and numbers for any of the female players who won the Euro. So I actually ordered that pink one with Williamson on the back.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I think the money goes to the actual.
You should have ordered that so that it was there in time for the Backstreet Boys concert. But
I should have. Damn it. we head in tomorrow against Palace. Everyone's vibing because of our preseason. We got the players that we feel kind of round out the squad early enough in, so they've been embedded into the team. In all intensive purposes, like this looks like the Arsenal of excitement, and we're going to win a bunch of games. How are you guys going in tomorrow? Because I'm like, yay, I'm excited. I won't be surprised if we lose 3-0.
I'm nervous because it's Palace away, but there's one good thing about the matchup, and then there's one like after the fact it'll be amazing. And the good news is I'm not going. I will not be there this time. And Arsenal do well at Palace when I'm not there. It's only when I'm there that they suck. So, as usual, putting myself into the middle of the situation that's being discussed, I think it's an easy win. I love starting with. I mean, I would rather start at Palace than at home against City or home against Chelsea, as far as like looking for a challenge to start out with, because this is almost like an exorcism. This has the opportunity to be an exorcism of these demons that we've had. And, it is a very easy first 5 or 6 games for us overall, one would think. Mm-hmm. This is the one that people are most worried about. And it's just the opportunity is there. Like I was saying on the podathon, some people agreed with it, others didn't. But I think the opportunity here and the positives of winning this game way outweigh the impact of losing it or dropping points in it if that should happen. Let's be clear. As of late February or late June, when the schedule came out, the sentiment was basically 90% to 10% that we were going to lose this game. And the only thing that's changed is we had a really, really good summer transfer window and preseason. But, I think that this game, I don't see us losing. And that's what scares me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Jared, what do you think?
I mean, we should beat this team. We should.
We should definitely beat the team. It is a tough opener. And I think, like Mike said, when the schedule came out, all of us thought, oh, God, Crystal Palace away, game 1, not the matchup you want. I mean, just in general, it'd be nice to have a home game to kick off the season. That would be ideal. But the difference this year, and I mentioned this on the podathon, every year people are somewhat optimistic for the new season because, you start from scratch. Everybody wants the team to do well. I think this is the year we're most justified in being optimistic just because the teams come together so quickly and played so well in preseason. And a lot of that is the team finally doing what we've all wanted them to do for years, get their business done or the majority of their business done early. So guys like Jesus can come in, integrate, hit the ground running. And, he's already running on full tilt right now, ready for match week 1. Whereas years prior, I mean, you watch All or Nothing episode 1, you see Holding and Mari in the middle. You see no Aubameyang, no Lacazette. Now, some of these are due to injuries, some are due to COVID, but the end point is the same. When you don't have your best team firing and ready to go, it's going to have a pretty negative impact. So for us to be on the other end of that, where everybody looks pretty good, everybody's playing well, the starting 11 is probably for tomorrow as locked in as it's been in a while. So I feel good about it. It's one that we should go in and win. And I think our press is really going to give them problems, and they're going to have a tough time getting out from the back on us.
All right.
I love this. I was thinking the same thing, and then John put it in the chat. We're asking a lot from Click to Edit in this lineup, playing 7 different positions out of 11. So are we to believe that you ran out of time, or that you only feel
No. I put in while Jared was talking, I put in the names that I know are guaranteed on the.
So you think there's only 4 guaranteed slots on here? I mean,
whereas Jared's talking about a joke because he's just guaranteed every time. But obviously we know Ramsdale's going to start, Zinchenko. The big question for me, and the reason why I'm doing this, I figured, hey, let's spend 5 minutes building this out. Who is our starting center back pair? First is what formation do we think we're going to play?
Well, for this game, it's going to be the same. I mean, it's going to be the same as we saw against Chelsea and in most of the preseason. It's going to be Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and Ben White, and right back.
I think the entire 11 is going to be what we saw in those 2 games. This is probably the most confident I am that we're going to stick with the lineup that I've been in a while.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a 4-4-2 though. I think it's
it'll be a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, however you want to. kind of call it. Xhaka moving up on the left, Odegaard on the right, but we're playing so well. I don't see any reason he would make any drastic changes to start the season off in a difficult away game.
Who would we put next to Xhaka? Partey? Do you think he starts?
Yeah, I mean, why would they change anything? I mean, with everything that's going on that we can't talk about, I don't think that that's going to change their decisions from last week to this week. He started in the Emirates Cup, right?
Yeah,
how does he's the most important player in the team as well. Not necessarily the best. I'm not saying he's better than Saka, but the most important is Thomas Partey.
So this is our lineup, you think?
Let's see.
Does it say Martyrs?
Yeah, I did. I nunned it.
Yeah, I was about to say Martyrs, Soccers. You can't say soccer. Well, my 49-year-old eyes are squinting, and I think that's pretty much what we're looking at tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's.
It would shock me to see anything other than that, barring a late fitness test or God forbid illness or something like that. But
I think the only one that's even questionable for me is if Tomiyasu was completely fit. I think there's a chance he would bring him in instead of Ben White just because he's more the starting right back. But in reality, I think White's going to have it tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tomiyasu's first run out will probably be, 45 minutes or a 30-minute sub appearance or something like that. Because the thing about him is that we're already getting criticized for rushing him back too early. In the past, I think we need to be really, really careful about that. So,
I agree, but that's the nice part about us solving some of our depth issues. We have White who can deputize there, and likewise with KT's history, we have Zinchenko who's, in terms of level, they're very similar. So he may hold us up for a while.
Going back to the all or nothing, I mean, remember when they had the essentially the depth chart on the screen for the meeting with Josh Kroenke, and they're showing the 4 right backs, and it was like Cedric, Maitland-Niles, Bellerin, and I don't even remember. They're like, we need to do something about this.
Yeah,
yeah, you do.
I think, Lynn brings up a good point, right? The biggest concern she has is essentially Zaha trying to get a penalty off of Saliba. And chat room's going to go crazy over this, but let's not forget that Saliba played in the French league that has some of the biggest fucking diving flops, especially Neymar, who went after Saliba quite often in some of those matches, and Saliba did fine. And I think, Zaha has the reputation. So whoever is the referee, I don't know who it is for tomorrow. Hopefully they got that. Let's say hi to Lynn. We got Alonso in the chat, DWTT. I think we said Dublin earlier, but if we didn't, thanks for being here.
Henrik,
we got this weird guy named Jared Carver. Let's block him. Keeps talking about a fucking guy named Gary.
I've got a little bit of a response to Lynn's comment. I think Zaha obviously is the primary weapon you've got to try and neutralize. But I think we may see, because I think Saliba's up to the level to play that spot without an issue. I think there's going to be a point, and maybe right off the bat, that Zaha, you'll see him move from left to right just because he's not having success against Saliba and may think he has a better chance running at Zinchenko, which I don't know that that's the case, but I think he's going to maybe be seen on both sides of their attack just because we're going to be pretty tough at the back.
Is Elise hurt? I heard that. Is he going to miss the game tomorrow? Or
who?
I think maybe not start. I'm not sure if he's back. I don't think he's really fully fit where he'll start, but maybe get a sub appearance.
Well, that helps because he's a dangerous.
Yeah. The big change is no Conor Gallagher. He was huge for them last year. Yeah. Like their press when he was in. He's a really, really good player. I hate that he's back at Chelsea, but that's the big difference in their team is the drop off they're going to see without him there, I think.
And is Eze was also hurt for much of last year, isn't he? Is he back in full fitness now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Listen, Palace are a good side.
You don't own the internet.
Yeah.
You don't have a subscription to the internet.
Yeah. Mike, if you could re-up our internet subscription, that would be great. Let's do a quick round robin. Jared, what's your score prediction?
I'm going to take 3-0 to the Arsenal. I think we're going to come out early and kind of put ourselves in a good spot with an early-ish goal. And then after that, the most important part of that is I want to see the 0. I'd love to see us go on a difficult away game to start the season and come away with a clean sheet. And I think we have the defense to do it. So that'd be my main goal, but I'll take 3-0 Arsenal.
Mikey, yours?
This is going to be the year that I'm just going to predict what I think instead of worrying about jinxing things. I mean, I probably picked about 25 different Desmonds last year because when I felt optimistic, I picked 2-2. I think we're going to win 2-1 tomorrow. I just see us winning tomorrow. I think we're better than they are. And, what I'm seeing is a mentality out of this team that when we are better than another team, I think we're going to impose that upon them rather than worry about losing. And the mentality of this team has switched so much. And I think the final pieces to that mentality, if we have Gabby, Jesus, that makes our team 3 times as good as it was the last 6 times we played Dallas.
So BX is saying 3-0. Daniel Roberts saying 3-0. Don,
I want to say 3-1, but I'm still going to stick with 2-1 because it wouldn't be a season opener without some level of doubt as to whether we.
Oh, totally. Dublin saying 3-0. AK saying 2-0. Don saying 4-0.
And it's this kind of mentality from the fan base that worries me because whenever I remember the United game last year, everyone was like, you know what, we've turned the corner, easy. We're gonna smash United. They're having troubles, and then we lost to them and Everton back to back, and it was like, and then when everyone thought we're not only we're not going to make top 4, we're probably going to fall out of Europe. We go and smash Chelsea 4-2. So like it's the opposite of the way that the consumer sentiment is, if you want to call it that. But again, I feel like the season's different, so I'll jump on with all these 4-1s and 3-1s. And
Arnie saying a boring 2-0. We got Richard saying 4-1. We got Goonerworks saying 3-1. We got Alonso saying 4-0.
Goonerworks with his own artwork.
Yeah, Lynn saying 3-1. We got
Gary saying artwork. Nice traditional.
Gary saying 3-1. We had someone in, I can't find it, but we had Gabby scoring. So I'm assuming that's a individual goal for each of the Gabbies.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Of course it was Daniel Robert. He should win something for that.
Which could really happen. Gabriel led the Premier League in goals from the center half spot. So, I mean, it's not impossible.
That needs to be a regular like parlay bet type of thing. Like not create your own parlay out of that, but like there should be like a plus 700 Gabby to score. Oh, it would probably be more than plus 700.
It'd have to be well over plus 700 for me to put any money on it.
Daniel is saying it looks like I'm holding myself up, which is true because my back hurts from carrying this goddamn podcast throughout the years. Tawana saying 2-1 Arsenal, tightly contested.
There we go, Tawana.
I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna go a 2-2 draw. I don't know.
Is that because you really think that we're gonna draw?
No, I just, it's typical Arsenal, right? We're at the fucking peak of hype and we're excited, and there's just Arsenal. We can't have nice things with this team. So, yeah. If you have any questions, we will get to them. Mike, I need to change my.
If you don't have any questions, we won't get to them.
Yeah. I need to get to my I need to change my prediction.
The one you just made?
The one I just made.
Like the team.
No. My top 4.
That didn't take very long. Oh, you mean your top 4, bottom 3?
Yeah. So I was gonna text you, Lone Star Londoner, who I assume is a Londoner in Texas and not a Texan in London. But you can let us know what is wrong with me. I hate being happy.
Which is why he's stuck with Arsenal his entire adult life.
Yeah,
because you have a special connection to the operator of the top 4, bottom 3 spreadsheet.
Though that's why I was going to ask you. Alonzo Spencer's asking what part. I just assume he's meaning the penis, so we can clear that out.
He always means the penis.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we changing here? Are we changing?
I'm going to remove
Balian Dior prediction.
I'm removing Everton from my bottom 3, and I'm going to put Leicester in there.
Did Kev Campbell get to you, or did Sam get to you?
No, I kind of I was just looking at all the outgoings of Leicester and not any incomings, and I thought they are so fucked.
He knows how good of a manager Frank Lampard is, and he's finally willing to publicly back him.
It'd be so funny when Everton actually does get relegated and he asked me to delete this podcast.
Wow. Yeah. I'll never hear the.
So you're keeping Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, which is the same top four that I have. Leeds, Leicester, Bournemouth, and then your surprise pick was Saka, Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or.
Which I think you meant the short list, but not necessarily.
The short list, not him winning it. He's going to be in the conversation. And then back to the moment, because I think Sebi's in the chat or listening. Sebi, we need you to find the cut of the mic on your show during the podathon with the thunder crack in the background, and we need to.
Is that when it happened?
I thought it was when they were all on together, and we need to make it into. I'm not saying meme anymore. I'm going to say meme. So we need to make that into a meme, and then we can, because it's the fastest I've ever seen Mike move. Okay, and I've seen Mike around a pizza box opening. Right.
Oh God.
Maybe you're not very nice to me.
Oh, if I just read the text messages on that, I could you.
Oh God.
Oh, I think.
Why don't we do that? Since you brought it up, everybody probably didn't see every section of the podathon. Everybody, you want to just give your bold prediction, and then we can get some reactions from people too.
Who's
the bold predictions? And while we're waiting on the chat, let me read some bold predictions. Lee Dixon, and you can learn a lot about people by what they consider to be bold. Lee Dixon said Brentford top 8. That's fairly bold.
Yeah.
Andy Rhodes, Saka, Ballon d'Or.
Short list.
Jake Feinberg, Nottingham Forest, somewhere in the 10th to 12th range. Owen said Nketiah scores more goals than Nunez. That's pretty daring. Simon Collins, people will like the Winter World Cup. He was, to his credit, he was pretty fucked up by that point. People will like, that's pretty bold. Sophie then said that Conte will leave Tottenham, Kane will then leave Tottenham, and Pochettino will come back to try to save the day.
I think there was a number that predicted Conte wouldn't finish the season at Spurs, wasn't there?
I predicted that. I predicted that months ago. I said he's not going to finish his 18-year contract, and then everyone jumped on the Mike wagon. Campbell said Leicester will struggle. Aston said Newcastle hires Jose Mourinho. Rocastle said that the U.S. men's national team will make the semifinals of the World Cup.
Who said that?
Ryan Rocastle. And it turned out he'd never watched us play. He's just like, from what I'm seeing, and I was like, what have you seen? He was like, oh, I don't know.
We have a couple bold predictions in the chat that I'm going to throw up in a minute.
All right, let's do it. Because the next one from Poorly Drawn Arsenal is fucking hilarious.
All right, we got Daniel Roberts saying the butcher's going to throw beef at Ten Hag in training. I
would then fall back in love with the butcher if he does that.
Richard Banks saying Pep's going to be sacked at Christmas. I don't think that's going to happen.
Pep will decide when he leaves. He's not going to
prediction not coming true.
This is actually a good one, a bold one. BX saying West Ham's finishing 4th. I mean, they've made some good signings in the offseason, so and AK is not really a bold, but it looks
we got
like
one Sebi predicted that actually in quite serious fashion. For his top 4, he predicted West Ham finishing 4th.
AK's bottom 3 are Southampton, Fulham, and Bournemouth. Ooh, 2 South Coast teams on there. Arnie saying Spurs are going to win the league and the Champions League. Now I'm just going to read these without them actually vetting them. So Gooner Works is going to say a lot more.
If there's any racism in any of these, please just don't post them because we're not reading these first.
A lot more fans will be willing to sell Tierney by the end of the season. I think Zinchenko. We'll see what we're missing at left back, similar to Ramsdale in goal last season. For me personally, I don't know about you boys, but if they're both fully fit, I'm almost putting Tierney at left back and Zinchenko in the midfield with Partey because I think he can play both an attacking-ish role, central midfield role, and can kind of sweep back and be a defensive mid.
He plays in midfield for his country.
If he's happy enough, Tierney being playing half the games, even if he is fully fit, then I would value that because I think he's a valuable part of the team. But the question is he going to be happy in that situation? How about we see if he is durable enough first, and then we can have that discussion.
Yeah. This might be one of the best bold predictions we're going to have for the year. Ronaldo will do an exit interview from his driveway as he's doing push-ups. There's a very high chance this happens.
Errol Owen style.
Yeah. Spurs will win the league and then wake up. Harry Kane speaks an entire sentence without saying obviously.
Come on, man. That's never going to happen.
Lee Gunner to complete an AFTV interview without the words "like you know."
I think he means Lee Judges.
Yeah. Did you remember when Gunner was telling us how hard it was being a podcaster because he couldn't eat his sausage sandwich? What a cunt.
That was on the 82 minutes of him saying the quiet part out loud thing. He's like, I'm work. He's like, I'm work. Rihanna, like work. And then he's like, I did these podcasts and I didn't even I had a sandwich and it was growing COVID. We're like, what? We're like,
Alonso says Xhaka gets 1 card and scores 5 goals. I don't know that that's bold, Alonso. I mean, that's just basically going to happen. Let's see. Laurie's saying Arteta's hair remains perfect. And then Arnie brings up a good one. Only 16 likes in 40. And we've actually had a lot of people in and out.
For it.
Let's push the like button. We've got a lot of people in today.
If you don't push the like button, and even if you do, then we're just gonna play our intro video. Arteta
will draw a heart and brain on a whiteboard and then show how the energy is made. Whoever liked that photo to our lead, I think it was Arsenal. That was fucking great.
that was pretty funny.
Who runs the Arsenal America? Is that Fredo?
I think so.
Yeah.
Here's a little one-off. So I'm from Central Illinois originally, a couple hours south of where I live now. The whole time I lived there was no pubs that played football. There was no Arsenal people. I moved up north, and on the Gooners versus Cancer Instagram, we got a new follow the other day from Central Illinois Gooners. So I reached out. I'm like, who is this? Why didn't this happen when I lived there? And it's just a guy there who started it. They've got a restaurant down there now or a bar that plays all the games on the mornings. And they're now the newest official Arsenal America group.
Cool.
Wow,
so shout out to those guys.
What city?
Bloomington, Illinois.
Oh, cool. Very
Did
cool.
we ever hear back about the Orlando thing? I'm pretty sure I sent my friend the right.
No, Harp and Salt is not where they're going to be watching Arsenal games now.
All right, can you find out where and let me know?
I saw something earlier today that something XL. I in the Facebook.
Text group. Aston. I don't have Aston's number. I thought I did, but can you just text and ask? And then if he can meet, these people are flying in from England today, and then they want to go to the pub tomorrow.
Remind me, like you just said, when we're not doing a podcast, and I'll
text you.
What was the name of the Irish pub you just said?
Harp and Celt. Great pub, but it's owned by
a. Take 2 Irish words. It's like, oh, this is the Leprechaun and Guinness. That's going to be the name of my new Irish pub.
That's what I call Owen. It's Owen's nickname.
Yeah, it's called the Owen and Owen. It's owned by a Spurs fan. There's a Spurs jersey hanging there, which Lee Judges took a picture with. It's pretty funny, but it's a good football bar. It's good for like national team games and stuff. But the Orlando Supporters Club actually watches someplace else, and something called something XL or something. But like, because I think it's made for fat people, but.
Let's finish our bold predictions. Arsenal will get out of Europa early and challenge for the title. Is that on purpose, or do you just think that's going to happen? I don't think this is a bold prediction. It's just a statement that Pepe lacks enthusiasm, which I completely agree.
Jacob, aka Poorly Drawn Arsenal, his prediction was probably my favorite one of them all, which was at some point this season, a manager will celebrate a goal by taking off his shirt. like that's the kind of thinking, that's the thought process that I enjoy from a person.
Now, question:
that manager is kind of lame, but
can we say that manager might be Cristiano Ronaldo, who takes over for Ten Hag during the season at United?
I mean, if there was a manager, and we said this, in the moment on the podcast when he brought that up, but like if there was ever anyone that would have done that, it would have been Paulo Di Canio for sure. But I mean, I would love for that to happen. What current? I mean, ruling out Sam Allardyce, what current football manager would you think would be most likely to actually take his shirt off for a goal celebration, or like let's say it's a game-winning goal in the 96th minute, comeback from 2-0 down to win 3-2 kind of situation. Like, who would lose their shit enough to do that? That's currently managing in the Premier League.
I'll make a bold prediction.
Can't be Lampard.
No, I was going to say Lampard, Gerrard, or if John Terry gets a management position.
Yeah, if John Terry got a management position,
he's certainly doing it.
He would whip it off and pork one of his players' wives on the pitch.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
The team's going over there to clap the away fans, and he's just porking somebody's wife on the.
Daniel Roberts saying Klopp.
This is why you pork someone, by the way.
The problem with Danny or Robert saying it's Klopp is the fact that if he takes his T-shirt off too fast, he might rip out those dentures on the way. So there's a big hazard that might happen.
You got to be careful about that. Or it could be Joachim Low when he gets the job, who just starts fisting himself.
Oh God!
And then sucking his thumb. Oh,
Mike, what was your bold prediction? I don't remember.
My bold prediction was Conte won't finish the season, but I made that before all the other bold predictions of the same thing. Paul, aka Paz, from Arsenal Vision, said Haaland kind of ends up sucking, which is very specific. There's metrics to measure that by. And Elliot said Darwin Nunez kind of sucks.
See, I think he's going to suck. He'll suck before Haaland sucks.
I
agree. Yeah.
I was saying that I thought that Jota would score more goals than Nunez this season, but then I remembered that they signed Diaz, and Jota might not get as many opportunities as I thought. But I think Nunez is poised to be kind of a one-trick pony, and if his game gets shut down, which I think would be a little easier.
Like, now I think about it, like Liverpool, I have them winning the league, and like him and Jota will probably rotate, but their fucking wingers are so deadly that they spread defense, and then he'll probably be sitting in the box a lot unmarked. And if he's a poacher, then he's going to get it.
You don't think the loss of Mahadio Sané, Sadio Mane is? I think they've done pretty well to reload after losing him. And the Diaz thing was an advanced move to replace Mane, not necessarily unrelated. They have kind of reloaded pretty well on that. But
what other bold predictions were on there, Mikey, that you like?
I don't hate Joachim Low. I hate people that stick their fingers in their anus and then put them in their mouth. I mean, that's where the hatred is. He just happens to be the person that does that the most issues on television.
I didn't want to call it out, but Richard's saying you said Mario Sane.
No, I said Mahadio Sane. That was intentional joke that I never used to be able to get Sane and Mane right.
We didn't get it. So.
I said Mahadio Sane is a combination of the two.
Haaland will do a meditation celebration after scoring at Chelsea and then gets hit in the head by a full water bottle from the stands.
Now, if that happens, we're clipping this and saving it just in case that happens.
Well, I'm excited that he's in the league. It's so hard for strikers to come to the league and hit the ground running. I fear he is just going to terrify every team. I mean, I haven't seen Mike. I mean, you watched a lot of Dortmund. I've only seen him play like Champions League, and the guy is just a fucking machine. And the one thing I think that's going to harm him is his size. I think he's going to be injured a lot because defenders will go at him. He's not going to be used to that. And bigger players like Lukaku, similar sized player. I just don't think he has the skill. But the few times that he's played for City this preseason, he has looked terrifying.
Terrifying, but not particularly impossible to stop, though. He provides a different profile. Jared could probably speak to this tactically better than I could, but he provides a different profile than just about any like skill profile than just about any other Premier League player. And ironically, the last time I saw him live at Dortmund, he was completely marked out of the game, eliminated out of the game. It was a horrible game that they lost to Leipzig like 4-1. But When's the last time we saw literally like one of the two best players? It was Messi, Ronaldo, and up until Ronaldo came via Juventus at a much more advanced age, neither of them came to the Premier League to ply their trade. Now it's Haaland and Mbappe, and it's really going to be interesting to see how Mbappe or how Haaland makes that transfer. I think Mbappe would be an absolute unbeatable superstar in the Premier League. I am not as positive about Haaland, but I mean, he'll get his goals simply by the team that he plays for and the threats that they have on that team.
Yeah, Mbappe, his skill set is, what do they say? Like, his game will travel. It doesn't matter what league you put him in. He's so unbelievably talented.
He requires no service whatsoever.
Right.
He is the service. He is like, I'm not going to say Ronaldo's in this category because he gets a lot of good service, but like Messi could do something like he could literally catch the ball at the halfway line and it's in the back of the net 10 seconds later. And Mbappe falls.
He has the ability to be a more powerful, imposing Messi.
Yeah.
Maybe not as fancy and tricky, 40 yards from goal, but just with the powerful. I mean, having seen Mbappe play in person, oh my God.
Yeah,
clear from anyone right now is the best player in the world.
I saw Lone Star in the chat talking about Haaland will have a monster season, and I think he'll have a big year too. Andy and I were talking about this right before we went live because we were having to wait on Mike. They play Bournemouth week 2. That's going to be one that's right in his wheelhouse. And during the podathon, I think it was Kelly from the Not Another Arsenal podcast said it, and it's going to be, I think, exceptionally accurate. He said, Haaland is like King Kong, and the relegation squads are like Japan. Like, he's going to absolutely feast on them.
Wait, who said that?
He doesn't have a great year. Kelly from Not Another Arsenal pod.
He stole that because I quoted, that's from the Football Ramble.
He might have actually cited.
Maybe they stole it from him, Andy.
No, I think he actually might have cited that.
I cited it on the pod because I just thought it was funny. When we were talking to Dixon, I mean, it's going to be interesting, right? Because he could come in and be a Lukaku and absolutely suck in this type of. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen. You see so many great strikers who come to the Premier League and they just cannot do it. He won't be on that list.
If he stays healthy and plays, let's say, 31 out of 38 games, portions of 31 out of 38 Premier League games. If he has a bad season, what do you think the floor for his goals is? I say 15.
No, I wouldn't go that high. I think for him, like 8 or under would be a bad season.
That's a bad season. I'm not saying what I'm expecting him to get.
I don't think there's any way he gets. I mean, I'm assuming he'll probably be on penalties for them as they kind of rotated it last year. And he's got Jack Grealish is going to play a lot more this year. He's going to get fouled a ton like he does. So he's going to grab a handful just on penalties, probably.
Yeah, plus Lone Star Londoners bringing up a good point. He's going to get a nice rest because he's not in the World Cup.
That's true.
Yep, that's a fair point too.
Yeah. You know what though? Like
Odegaard too, but
penalties aside, I think he's going to score at least 10 goals in the league minimum. He'll score 10, and then you pepper in the penalties, he'll be up 15 plus.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think a bad season
if he stays healthy,
and I think what he's capable of is 30.
Yeah, I agree. When they say
that's Premier League
underperforming, I think 15's the basement, and I think it'll be 20 plus.
But are those goals additive, or are they coming at the expense of the goals that would otherwise come from Foden and Mahrez and
it doesn't matter, Mike. There's still goals, right?
Well, there's still goals, but you saw with Ronaldo. Ronaldo scored a lot of goals last season, but it didn't necessarily help them win more games. I mean, Man City's not going to have problems winning games. I'm just wondering whether whether he's that. I mean, look, I'm not questioning the signing. It's an incredible signing. You make it every single day of the week, but it should just be interesting to see how much it actually helps them. Yeah. I'm much more happy with them signing him because, again, when Man City wins the league, I'm unaffected by that. It's just a neutral, numb feeling for me.
I think
if he had gone to Liverpool or gone to Chelsea or somebody else like that and had a great season and propelled them 4 spots up the table, then that would have actually affected us negatively.
Yeah, I agree. I would be devastated if he went to Chelsea. That would have been worst case scenario for me.
Yeah, me too.
All right, let's get to some questions here. All right, first question is from Daniel Robert. I'll take this first so you guys can read it. Prediction for player of the season and improvement of the season. I'm assuming he means the most improved player of the season.
Yeah. It might be like if this podcast gets 20 or more starts from you, that we could be the most improved podcast of the season.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, guys. Okay. I'm going to say player of the season will be between Jesus and or Saka. And
is that Arsenal only, or is that Premier League?
I'm just going Arsenal.
Yeah,
I'm just going Arsenal only. I think we talked about the player of the season already for the last 10 minutes. And then my improvement of the season, I truly think Xhaka will be the most improved player for Arsenal in the fact that I think we're going to see a different Xhaka because now all the pieces around him are set. This team, Dixon brought it up best. Like, he's great at his international level because the team around him make him better. I think we're going to see a much more improved Arsenal or Xhaka throughout the season. If we're talking about like a youth prospect and their improvement, then I think as good as we have a lot of young players, Martinelli for me is that one player who sky's the limit, right? I truly don't think he'll be at Arsenal for longer than 2 more seasons. He'll be a PSG, City, United player because he's just, if he stays healthy, the kid's unstoppable.
Yeah, this one's easy if we're talking Arsenal only. Player of the season is Jesus. Improvement of the season is Eddie Nketiah.
Sure.
I mean, and the reason that Eddie Nketiah is the most improved player is because of Gabriel Jesus.
Jared, what are your thoughts?
So my player of the season, like you guys, he's just going to have such a big impact right away. I think it's got to be Jesus. But my dark horse, because I think he's going to be right up at the top of the league on clean sheets, is Aaron Ramsdale. I think he's going to have a really good season. As far as improvement, can we just say the Arsenal as a whole? I mean, we finished 5th last year, and I picked us to finish 3rd, and I'll put this out there. I don't know if you'll call it a bold prediction or not. I think we'll finish 3rd, and we'll be closer in points to 2nd than 4th is to us.
I think that's I almost think it'll be kind of like a 2-1-3 kind of cluster system where there's 2 teams fighting for the top 2 spots. 3rd is going to be probably us, and then 4th, 5th, and 6th will be, Tottenham, Spurs, West Ham, or you could say, Tottenham, United, West Ham, and Spurs, maybe even a 4-team cluster going for 4th through 7th, the England, the Europe spots. The one player I did want to mention, and Lone Star Londoner mentioned him as well. I think with Europa League games and the heavy fixture schedule, I think we're finally we're gonna get our old ESR back. I mean, last season he was, in my estimation, quite good in a little bit more limited of a role. He was almost like a super sub, and he did get a little bit jaded towards the end of the season. But I mean, when he played, he was starting to score. As soon as Aubameyang departed the lineup, ESR was one of the 2 or 3 people, including Saka, that stepped up and filled those goals. And then it was all of a sudden Martinelli's trajectory almost booted ESR out of the regular rotation, and there weren't those second games in a week to give him a start in. So I think we see ESR, his kind of sheepish quietishness that we're seeing in the Amazon documentary kind of makes sense and backfills why, maybe he isn't on the same trajectory as a Saka or Martinelli is. But I think he's a fantastic player. I've said that I thought his upside might even be greater than Saka's. I'm not so sure about that now, but this is, I think he could end up being most improved if you measure that not just on goals per minute, but on minutes and impact.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got Alonzo Spencer saying he thinks the most improved player will be Ben White. We've got Tom Canton from the Gooner Talk who jumped in to say hello. Hi, Tom. Hope you're enjoying your FIFA. I just assume you're always playing FIFA. A lot of people are saying ESR most improved. All right, next question. Mike, I'm just going to give you this one directly. What are your thoughts on Nottingham Forest's transfer rumor of signing Dutch striker Jizz Hornkamp?
I mean, Jizz is one thing, but then Hornkamp, it has a very explosive quality to it. I would say.
Do you think he's got good ball control?
No, I think he's likely to just splatter the ball all over the place.
Do you think he's going to come on the 60th minute on a regular basis?
He's got to come earlier than the 60th minute on because if he's going to come on twice, he's going to need 30 minutes in between. So I mean, he's phenomenally linked with Nottingham Forest. He needs to be one of those guys like Thomas Partey who puts the first name on the shirt. I realized that could have gone in a very different direction, actually, considering who randomly popped into my head. But yeah, he's got to be a first name only on shirt type of person,
like they do down in South America.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I feel like his arrival is just going to come naturally to Forest.
Never. No, it's is he
Jared, do you think he's going to be a tasty signing for him?
Do you think he could stick there for a few years?
Or do you think that the Nottingham Forest fans are going to be really salty about his?
I mean, he's got a natural affinity for scoring, so I think he'll be a fan favorite. Maybe not so much of the ladies. We'll see.
I mean, he's not easy on the eyes. Let's put it that way.
And if he has a rough go early on, he's going to be tough to swallow for some of the fans there. So
that's very true.
Maybe not the way they want to go.
Yeah. And as Gunnar says, the signing's a bit premature, but yeah. Wow.
This is going to be
what's our combined age? 112?
This is going to be the
going on 13.
When the lymphoma society and or Arsenal are going to be like, you know what, we kind of tuned in at the wrong time. Let's go to their next pod.
Yeah, exactly.
They keep their money in dirt bags.
My excuse is going to continue to be, oh, you picked the wrong time and the wrong pod. By the way, today, no one's wishing me a happy 34th anniversary today.
Oh, that's right. Hey, to you and Steph. Well, no, hey.
That has nothing to do with Steph.
Steph has put up with you for 34 years.
No, she hasn't put up with me for 34. We've only known each other for 27 years. That's not what my 34th anniversary. August 4th, 1988.
Oh, God damn it. I thought it was your actual wedding anniversary with Steph.
No. 34 years you thought I'd been married?
Dude, you're like 65.
I'm 49 years old. I didn't get married when I was 15.
Hey, what are we doing for your 50th? Hey, it's your 50th and my 40th. We got to do something.
That's not my responsibility. I'll make myself available. You guys come up with what you're doing.
Is your house going to be done by then?
By then, my God, it better be. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Problem solved. We're having a party.
34 years ago today, I stepped off the plane at Heathrow, a boy, and 2 years later, I was a man. And
you lost your virginity at 27?
I did not lose my virginity in London, but from a man, making me who I am today. Today was the day I landed in London and began my new life.
Great story. AK is saying, do we need another striker? Yesterday. I think we need other positions of depth before we look at the striker position.
I would agree. We just signed Nketiah to a 5-year deal. He's obviously going to deputize Jesus. And we've got Martinelli in case of emergency. I think anybody else you'd bring in people would demand a player that's good enough. They wouldn't want to accept the role they would get this season.
What percentage chance, given that we have 25 days left and the season starts tomorrow, what percentage chance we sign Tielemans, you think, Andy?
Between today and tomorrow, or did you say
no, between today and the end of the I'm saying at this point he's obviously going to be one of those traditional Arsenal signings where you don't really see him until the season's a month old. But
yeah. I think with Torreira officially going to Galatasaray, and we'll probably shift Miles. Yeah. I think there's a 90% chance.
90.
for the 40 million price tag that some of the friends of ours who kind of are in the media have been suggesting, no. Last year of contract, I think we could get him next season for nothing. I think if we pay 20 or less for him,
Better it'd be 27, rising to 30 is probably what.
Yeah, I mean, which I would say just saying 20, but I'd go to 30. Doubling Gooners saying we didn't need a striker yesterday because we didn't have a game.
but like forget what the fee is, forget what the timing is. Like, will he be an Arsenal player by the end of the window? You think 90%?
I think 90% chance, yeah, because we know that's a position we need depth at.
Jared.
I was going to say 75%, but yeah, I think it's much more likely than not we'll see him at Arsenal by the end of the window.
I also like the fact that in this transfer window specifically, we are focusing on players with Premier League experience. And I think that puts him over the edge of some of the other midfielders. Now, if we can't get the deal done with Leicester, that's too bad. They're going to lose him for free. So they're probably going to be pushed to get rid of him.
This is the first time, and I think we have all the leverage for that free transfer pre-contract thing in January. Well, can't do it in January for a domestic team, I think.
No, you can't do it in January. I think you can have conversation in January, but you can't sign the contract until the end of the season. But he could sign a contract for a European club January 1.
Right. The pre-contract where you're literally contracted to move on July 1st is only outside of the Premier League.
I mean, if we're believing Fabrizio, is that how you say his name?
I don't know. He had a pretty big screw up yesterday.
Well, the guy still signed for Chelsea, so I don't think it was that big of a screw up.
Oh,
but,
did he actually?
Yeah. I think it's official now.
Then that wasn't even a screw up. That was
it was just.
So.
Yeah, I think from what we're led to believe, the pre-contract's already been signed. From what he's heard between Arsenal and the player, now it's just down to the club. All right, we have one last question. Saka, ESR, Martinelli, Odegaard all get 10-plus goals. If not, who misses the mark? I'll go here first because, again, I'm reading these pre-hand. I guess to me, if Odegaard doesn't score 10 goals, I'm okay with that. I think for him, it's how many assists and setups that he's going to have, and that'll be his integral part to our team. I think, again, for ESR, I wouldn't put him in that has to score 10-plus goals. Now, for us to compete with third place or above, Saka and Martinelli have to have double-digit goals in the league. It has to be that. I would say if ESR and Odegaard score 5 goals and they've got double-digit assists, that for them is probably a successful season.
If we're talking in all competitions, including Europe, then I think all 4 of them get 10.
Yes, but I'm thinking just league.
Because I think ESR might get 7 or 8 goals in the group stage of the Europa League by himself.
Yeah, and Martinelli could score 5 against Blackpool in the League Cup, right? I mean, I think for
now
me,
Martinelli's playing in the League Cup. That might be where we see Reece Nelson.
Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, it's down to 2. I mean, Saka and Martinelli, I think, are the most likely to get there. If we're talking just Premier League, I think ESR is the least likely because Martinelli is going to eat up a lot of his minutes. And potentially, he's had some kind of ongoing injury issues. So I'm not sure how quickly he'll be back, how much they'll try and maybe taper off his minutes just to protect him a little bit. So I think he's the least likely. But all 4 are talented enough they could do it. But I definitely don't think we're going to see all 4 score that many in league.
Okay, I've got a text here. Just literally got this text from a friend. So I'm going to put it in the comment section, put it up as a question, and I want the chat group to answer it as well as both of you. So my neighbor Adam is a diehard. Well, I won't say a diehard, but him and his son are really, really enjoy watching Liverpool. But he asked me, what do you guys think of this? Arsenal's 100 plus 125 to finish in the top 4. You think that's a good bet?
I hate any bet that you got to wait 9 months to collect on. Like those futures bets are just like, to me, that's not a good investment because you could put money in for that kind of return, you could do other things, but
you could buy the new Gooners Pod NFTs we're going to put out.
Don't say the J word. Don't say the J word. Okay, but looking at that as a pure in the vacuum of saying, is that good money for the outcome? I'd put some money on that. Finish in the top 4. I would thought, that's probably about right. I mean, I'm sure the top two teams are like you barely get like a dime back on your dollar for top four, but Arsenal being plus 125 to finish the top four, that's basically the odds makers saying that we shouldn't finish in the top four, and I think they're wrong about that. So I'd put money on that.
I mean,
I would
he'll
agree.
put $10 on it, right?
Yeah, I mean we're on the good side of even money, so I think that's
Yeah,
beneficial.
but you're an ice king now. You can put more than $10 on it.
That's not. I don't bet.
You're betting on yourself.
Put the money on Newcastle.
No.
When we were down in
Fandom.
Mexico last week, there was like,
Who has Newcastle added? I mean, I know they have, but I'm asking. I'm not saying they.
I don't know.
Since Guimaraes, like who, like
We can look it up. Look it up, Mike, fast. I'll tell you the story. When we were in Mexico, there was a family from Newcastle, and we were sitting chatting, and they all thought that they're not there yet, but they were like, hey, you should be excited as an Arsenal supporter with what's going on. And I was like, yeah, we are. But again, it's Arsenal, right?
It takes a few. Yeah, I mean, it takes a few years, even when you have new money like that. So basically, they've added Sven Botman from Lille, Matt Targett from Villa, Nick Pope from Burnley. Am I looking at the right?
No,
Yeah,
you are, because
that's all they've added.
Well, and similar to City, right? They didn't add a shit ton of names, and I think
they added Robinho by accident. Robinho thought he was going to United.
I could see Newcastle being busy the last week of the window.
Yeah, probably. Isaac Hayden's coming back from loan, and then they sent him back out. Yeah, I mean, they've not added any significant players since Guimaraes. That Sven Botman guy, I mean, he's a 32 million pound addition, but and 22-year-old, but they added Target, who's 26, Nick Pope's 30, and that's not a high impact signing. So
I think Pope is.
Considering
it's an upgrade from their Dubrovnik or whatever his name was.
Dubravka.
Yeah,
but he's 30, so he'll
maybe
goalkeeper.
Patrick is a Newcastle fan, and he can tell us why he thinks putting the money on Newcastle instead of Arsenal is worth a punt.
Well, it's probably just because the odds is probably 8-1 for Newcastle, but it's because I think it's almost impossible that I would have them down for 9th this season, and then they'll. And it would be pretty harsh on him with this squad if he doesn't get Europe and get sacked, then maybe you can have your dream come true and finally get Eddie Howe as the manager of Arsenal.
Yeah, we had one last agenda note, but Jared, I forgot to move it to earlier in the show, so we won't be doing it.
Well, that was informative.
Tom Canton, what's closer, Torreira to Galatasaray or the microphone to Jared's face? I love when Georgia grabs his phone and adds some comical value to our lives.
Yeah, I mean, that was funny, so it had to be Georgia.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, I can give Tom a little audio class and maybe make his mic sound a little better. So reach out to me, Tom. We'll get it taken care of for you.
Loki is saying Arsenal are 8-1 in England, and
hey guys, let's hold it
50-1.
50-1 to finish top 4, or 50-1 for the title.
They must be 50-1 they can't be 50-1 for top 4. That's got to be title.
No, that would be a way. Yeah. That would be a way. I mean, I would actually jump on that because they could go and make some huge moves in January, like have a pretty good first 4 months, and then just kick it into overdrive in January.
I think they'll be the most active team on the last week of the window.
Yeah, that could be the case.
So
maybe they can take all of our players that we're stuck with. Maitland Niles could play for Newcastle. I mean, no problem. All right, so we wrapping this up.
Let's wrap it up.
We have done, so according to our episode.
I hope Horn. What was his last name? Hornclutch. I hope he wraps it up. Am I right?
Jiz Hornkamp. The episode that we're on now is the 45th episode of our 7th season because we're going to be cutting and slicing up all the Podathon episodes.
We've been doing this for 7 seasons.
7 seasons, 45 episodes, and the season hasn't even started yet. So this might be the season we hit 100 episodes in a season. If it goes well and we feel like potting every week or more than once a week.
Dude, Canton does 40 in a week.
Well, that's his job.
Pro's pro.
You know what I have to say to that? My love for him like tripled after he did that. So, all right. Well, we're wrapping up. Game tomorrow. Should I do should we do a post game open mic tomorrow night?
I'm gonna be out. I'm actually going to meet up with
I'm
one
gonna
of
be at the pub, but I can bring my stuff to the pub.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be in either. It's in-service day for school tomorrow, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah, I got like a 35-minute drive home from the game, maybe more than that, to where I'm going. So I'll probably be out for that one.
Game. Oh, but you're going to meet up with Christian tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Christian from Not Another Arsenal Pod. He actually lives nearby, so we're gonna meet up and watch the game.
How that hasn't happened yet, I have no idea.
Is that like 602 Gooner, 802 Gooner, 612?
312. 312 Gooner.
I knew he had that area code. I don't know.
Yeah, we're only like 35 minutes apart, and it just hasn't worked out scheduling wise. So tomorrow's
are you getting together like solo, or are you going to the Globe?
No, we're actually going to a supporters pub out close to where he lives, and he's got a handful of buddies that all go there that are Arsenal fans. So yeah, should be a good time.
All right, man. Well, we'll take pictures and.
I remember there was one time that I hooked Mike up with some Chicago Gooners, and they took a picture of him asleep in the booth because he got hammered.
I wasn't sleeping. I was not sleeping. Was one of them B?
No, it was. I hope he's alive because I met him for lunch 3 months ago, and then dude's just gone radio silent. He moved to Colorado. And
he donated to the charity.
So he is alive, good, because he doesn't respond to texts anymore.
Well, he's on Twitter.
I don't go on there.
Well, that's your fault. All right, so we're wrapping this up. Thank you to the 30 to 40 of you who were here during the show.
It was a lot more than that.
Yeah, at times, but then this level of banter has brought it down to 32. Please hit the like button if you enjoy it. Great seeing some of the same names, and then also Tom. And because these bozos didn't do it at the outset of the show, we're going to do it now. We're going to use our intro as an outro. Come on, you Gooners.
Once upon a time, way back when there were only 9,000 Arsenal podcasts, 5 young men from various backgrounds. An Irish kid with a horrible haircut. A young Jewish nerd who hadn't discovered food yet. A child from Hemel Hempstead who didn't want to be English no more. A handsome advertising magnate with impeccable judgment. And a young Mexican AC Milan fan. Hatched a plan to take over the world of Arsenal podcasts. But then these boys became men. Jared. Mikey. Ewan, Magic, and Andy. And the rest, my friends, is history. And now, all these years later, you tune in every so often to hear their incredible takes, their football knowledge, and their sensual advice. But now, it's gone too far. You, our fans, are at long last witness to season
7.
Welcome to